Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. Today, we have a special guest. And by the way, I know I say we have a special guest every time. Okay, all of our guests are special. But today's special guest is the most specialist guest of them all right? Because this is my twin sister, the one who got me into NFTs, Steph Sutto. Welcome to the show.
Woohoo! Thank you for having me. Super excited to be on. Number one fan of this podcast, and super excited, Jenny from the blockchain and Michael, to be on this show with y'all today.
Wow, it's pretty epic. We've been waiting.
Yes,
Yeah.
We're very excited to have you on. And yeah, let's just dive right into it. And actually, let me just say a little something right before. This is our 49th episode. Our 50th episode, we are going to be celebrating our 50th episode live. It's going to be a live Twitter Spaces on April 18th at 7 p.m. PST. If you guys have Twitter, we're going to do a live Twitter Spaces. We're going to break it up into 3 different segments. Steph Sutto is going to be on the first segment, as well as 7 other previous guests. That's going to be the first half hour. Second half hour of the show is going to be a live Q&A section where you guys can come up and ask me, Michael, or Andy a question. And the final segment will be an opportunity for people to come up and tell us about their favorite project or what you're working on. So check out our Twitter, NFT Catcher Pod. I'm going to make a tweet tonight. It'll be live by the time this is out. But yeah, let's jump right into this show.
Get all these listeners on Twitter. I feel like there's a lot of people listening right now and they're like, but I don't have Twitter. If you're in the NFT space or you want to get involved, like get on Twitter, get into these Twitter spaces. That's where all the magic happens.
Yeah, I know there's a solid amount of people where it's like, okay, they're not on Twitter, and this is kind of their only source for NFT information, which is okay too. You know, you can definitely listen back to the replay, like no problems there, but it would be awesome to be able to kind of talk to some of the people that have been, supporters from us, from the beginning. Steph, speaking of supporters, you actually introduced me to NFTs and got me into them. You made me buy some crypto kitties back in 2020. You got me into Top Shot. And, you're the reason why I've done so many different things in this space. So, I want to hear your story on how you first got started in NFTs and what brought you into this space.
Yeah. I definitely, I was always kind of curious on, alternative things. I like to think of myself as, I guess, more of the rebel in the family. And so I was going to college. I didn't really want to go to college, but I was going to college majoring in communication just because I thought, okay, if I'm going to get any life skill, let me just learn communication. But then I quickly realized I don't think school is for me. And I started taking online courses outside of school. And so I wanted to learn. I thought education was very important, but just the way that I learned was a little bit different from going to university. So I dropped out of college and I started taking these online courses. And, instead of paying thousands of dollars for a degree, I was paying thousands of dollars just to learn from these courses. And one of the courses I took was a crypto course back in 2017. And it was teaching me about cryptocurrency. And I was very interested in this because I was a broke, college dropout. I had no money and I was like, okay, well, how am I supposed to, get my foot in the door in the real world? Especially if I don't have a degree, right? So I was trying to think of, okay, what kind of skills can I learn? So at the same time as I was taking the crypto course, I was also taking a social media course. And that's actually what really kickstarted my career, really being on social media. And really to this day, like my job is in social media. Like that's the skill that I learned was social media and kind of how to get attention, how to build engagement and how to put yourself out there. But yeah, when I learned about the crypto, I didn't have much money. So I put what I did have, which at the time was $300. And I was like, I'm going to put, all my money into crypto. And I bought $100 worth of Litecoin, $100 worth of Ethereum, and $100 worth of Bitcoin. And then I just like forgot about it. And I remember a couple of years later, or maybe a year later, I looked back at it and I was like, oh my God, it grew to $700. Like my 300 grew to 700. Like this is incredible. And so I just started getting back into the rabbit hole, and like 2020 rolls around, the pandemic happens. I'm stuck inside and I'm just like, okay, I need to like learn something new. And that's when I was like, oh, I remember I bought Kitties way back in the day. 2018, I bought Kitties. Whatever happened to those? Because I like never like followed up on that. Turns out I never wrote down my seed phrase. I lost everything and I didn't realize it until years later. And so when I was trying to find my Kitties, I bumped into the Dapper Labs website. And if you don't know, Dapper is the big company behind Kitties and the company behind Top Shot. And that's how I discovered Top Shot. I was actually looking for my Kitties and I discovered Top Shot. It was like the first day that the beta opened to the public. There was only, probably less than 1,000 people that were in Top Shot at the time. Now they have so many users. But at the time I was like, oh my God, I feel like I just discovered some secret gold mine. And I had been learning from Gary Vee about sports cards, physical sports cards. And I'm like, I used to collect sports cards. I still have them, but like, I don't know that I can go into that. But I saw these moments, these Top Shot moments, which are like these digital video highlights that were NFTs. And I'm like, oh, I think this is the future. So I started buying a bunch of these moments for $1. Fast forward, they ended up like 30xing, right? But I started buying all these, and the next day I introduced them to you, Jenny from the blockchain. I was like, yo, you got to check this out. NBA Top Shot. This is the future. And that kind of kicked off everything.
That's crazy. That's a good story.
Hey, and by the way, Andy, can we pull up that little rap? Steph is also a rapper. Not really. I mean, she has a little part in a rap.
Has rapped one song all of a sudden. I'm a rapper.
She mentioned,
big time rapper.
Yeah. Yes. I wanted to play this really quick because, she talked about how she bought some Kitties back in 2018. And so that segues nicely into this rap.
Steph Sutto, let's go, yeah, remember the name. Yeah, I'm bullish on myself, yeah, I'm setting the pace. Used to own some Kitties, yeah, back in the day. It was 2018, damn, I lost my seed phrase. Bounce back, Top Shot, got me back in the game. Sweeping moments with my twin Jenny from the blockchain. With my family having fun, hosting ladies night. NFTGM, yo, that's a squad for life.
Rock with us, it's the NFT Girls Mafia. Swicky newbie and the Suttos, ain't no stopping them.
Hey.
Nice.
Okay, there we go. Yes, but anyway,
that was a little bit of my story just from that little rap section. That summed it up. We could have just played the rap. I didn't have to say the whole story because we played the rap.
I love that. Okay, so I always feel like you're such a great storyteller as well, and I do look up to you a lot in those ways. I feel like
that's not what you normally say.
No, but you know what? And I talk
the
about
truth
my
comes
sister
out
all the time. You guys know, those of you listening, you guys know I always mention, oh, my sister. Mm-hmm. This is her. And so, maybe now you're thinking about all those times where I, mentioned things about her. We did actually play that full rap several episodes ago, if you guys remember. So, those of you who have been listening for a while, you remember when we first premiered that song, NFTGM by Gutter Jesus featuring Steph Sutto. But anyway, okay, so you got into Top Shot. You told me about it the next day, October 2020. What happens after that? Because now, you're working for some big NFT company, like you're really involved in the space, fast forward and you're super involved doing a lot of things. But what was that, middle period like when you were first kind of getting back into things? Yeah, you had, discovered Kitties, but then you lost your seed phrase and then you got into CryptoKitties and also found out about Top Shot, what has happened leading up to now?
Yeah. So as soon as I discovered Top Shot, I was like, oh my God, I feel like this is a secret gold mine that I just discovered. And like the mainstream doesn't know about this yet. Like, even NFTs, the word NFT, back when I bought CryptoKitties in 2018, I don't remember them being called NFTs. Like, I don't even know what they were called, but they definitely were not. NFTs was not a buzzword. And even in the beginning, October 2020, first getting into Top Shot, NFTs, Top Shot was not saying the word NFTs. And that wasn't really a popular term at all. So I was just like, this is just a very interesting, technology, the fact that you can actually own something. And it was just very interesting to me. And so, I was a server in a restaurant at the time. And I was looking to, how can I dive into something that can be my career? And I also knew that I was really good at putting myself out there. And so I decided, you know what, I'm fortunate enough that I was early in Top Shot. Let me take on this responsibility and now help new people getting into Top Shot understand what this is and like kind of how to play the collecting game, I guess. Even though I didn't know much about the NBA, which ended up, ultimately being the reason why I kind of moved away from Top Shot, because I'm like, okay, this isn't really my end goal here. And I wasn't really trying to work for Top Shot. But I basically started creating content for Top Shot, really for myself, but really for the community. And I kind of grew my brand on that. I call myself NBA Top Shot Steph for the longest time. And that was my Twitch username for the longest time. I would constantly stream just everything about Top Shot and did that for probably, I want to say at least 6 months of just like Top Shot only content. And at the time, that was really my only NFT that I was into. And I didn't really realize there was other NFT projects. All of a sudden, all these other, fast forward to spring of 2021, all of a sudden, all these NFT projects start popping up. And I do remember Bored Ape. I do remember my friends minting them. I at the time I hadn't really branched out from Top Shot. So I was like, oh no, I feel safe. I'm going to stick with Top Shot. I don't know anything about these Bored Apes and I don't know anything about like minting from a different website on Ethereum. Like that was all a little bit confusing still to me. So, but I do remember all of a sudden all these new projects start popping up. And so shortly after, all my friends around me, they started they were into Top Shot, but they started branching out. And I realized, you know what, I'm going to get left behind if I just stick with Top Shot. I need to start branching out too. And so I think, Jen and I, our first NFT project on Ethereum, besides CryptoKitties, right? That we were like, ooh, let's buy into this together and let's try to like flip this, was Voxies, which they're still going on strong today. The team is, we did research on the team. We thought, okay, this is a great flip. Well, we thought we were going to be able to flip it like, 5 days after buying it. We ended up having to wait months. And that's when I realized I don't want to flip. Like, that's not really for me, because there's also a lot of work behind it. You have to constantly keep up with the project. So I just started having the mindset of like slowly collecting and just like, I had a huge Top Shot portfolio. I started trading in big chunks. Like one of my best trades was for a Bored Ape kennel club, a Bored Ape dog. And I traded $8,000 at the time of Top Shot value for that dog. And at the time, that was not a good trade for me. In fact, it was a better trade for the person that traded me the dog at the time, but it ended up working out in the long run. I ended up selling the dog down the road. It ended up paying off. But like, I just knew I needed to branch out. I just didn't have that much money. So I just leveraged my Top Shot account for that. And I did the same for a couple other things as well, with trading my Top Shot moments for other NFT projects. And I just started collecting and got lucky. Prices started rising and like, oh, sweet. I bought this for mint price. And now the BYO pills, I bought those for 0.07 and now they're over an ETH. Like, this is amazing. All I did was hold,
Yep.
Yeah. And also I do remember when we went in on those Voxies, you had put all of your ETH that you had into Top Shot. So you didn't have any more Ethereum, which is why I was like, okay, fine. I will sacrifice my ETH that I have. And I remember I was always a little bit more like stingy with like wanting to hold on to stuff, including my crypto. And I was like, okay, fine, you can pay me back like eventually, like, when we flip this. And yeah, it was like months down the line, but I do remember we minted like 4 for like 0.08 each. And it was like 0.32 ETH, which was so much. Like, it just seemed like so much at the time. It was like, damn. And then the fact that it took so long, like months for it to actually, be profitable for us to sell it for a profit. We're like, wait, what the heck? How come that's not how it's supposed to go? Everyone's flipping these things, so easily. How come we have to, wait and be patient? But, it was also a nice lesson as well of like being patient and having conviction in something that you buy.
Yeah, totally. I've learned being patient from being in the NFT space. Like I don't ever flip anything at this point. I just buy and hold. And then if it's like, oh my God, this is really valuable, like I need the money, like I'll sell it. But for the most part, I try to make my collecting habits low effort. I don't keep up with all the NFT projects of what I have. And so, yeah, I just kind of have a lot of NFTs, but I really don't keep up because it just takes up so much time. And I'm like, okay with that. Because my time, in my opinion, is kind of more valuable than like trying to time the market and flip. I'm just not good at that.
Nice.
I didn't want to like hog up this whole thing. So I want to see if Michael has anything he wants to like.
No, that's okay. No, it's really good hearing your story. And I actually think it's really what I'm listening is really interesting to me. You guys have like a lot of the same inflection when I'm hearing you talk, Steph, it's like you guys have a lot of the same like inflections. It's cool to hear. I guess obviously it makes sense. You guys are twins and been together your whole lives and all that, but it's interesting. It's fun to talk to you. It's great to hear your story. I mean, it's really inspiring. You got into Top Shot. Like that was like, sounds like it was like meant to be. You were looking for your crypto kitties and all of a sudden Top Shot was there for you. My story is a little bit similar. I started with Top Shot as well. I was a little later. I was early February of 2021 and started doing Top Shot. And then you mentioned Gary V. I talk about him at least once an episode. Everybody knows that. And so I got into V Friends. He started talking kind of in April. He was like, everyone needs to get MetaMask. I didn't have MetaMask till he said that and got in and started coming over that way.
Right. And yeah, same way. I was so scared. Like, it's so scary, to go Top Shot. People really take it for granted, but like we're really all babied from Top Shot because so easy to buy, sell, trade NFTs on Top Shot. When you move over to, the Ethereum platform and you have other projects, it can be scary. Then you have to create a MetaMask. And like I said, the first time I ever created one, I didn't write down my seed phrase because I didn't realize you couldn't just email reset your password. Like that seems common sense, but that was Web 2. Web 3 plays by different rules, and therefore you're a lot more responsible for your things, which is a little bit scary as well.
For sure. Let's talk a little bit about the NFTBA, if you don't mind. I know you help host their events, right?
Yeah.
It seems like so much fun. I was really upset that I couldn't do the LA one. I came in a couple days late, but
someone was looking for you too. Someone was looking
really?
For you.
Oh,
I forget
man.
Their name, but if they're listening to this, they came in, they're like, oh, is Michael here? Is Jenny here? Like they were looking for y'all.
Yeah. Those events look like a lot of fun.
They are. Those are basketball tournaments for the NFT community. I'm actually not one of the founders of it. I just MC it. And so people always think that, it's kind of my thing because like I'm kind of, I guess, the face. But no, it's more just a fun thing that I like to do. All of my friends are usually involved and it's like, a fun basketball tournament. Everyone can play and mess around and have some fun.
Nice. Is there going to be another one coming up? Any clue?
I think New York.
New York.
Yeah,
nice.
I think they're planning on another one in New York. I mean, it's smart to plan around, the big events. Like if anyone's, ever wanting to throw meetups or NFT events for their project, definitely centered around these big events like NFT NYC.
Yep.
Everyone's flying in for that. Like everyone's already there. Great opportunity to be hosting. Cryptoys, a company I work for, we're going to be collaborating and hosting an event in New York as well. But I just think there's so much opportunity to like meet up with people. I think you two are going to do a podcast meetup or something, or you should, because
I think we're going to try and do something in New York. I think we're going to try and do something.
Yeah.
Something
good.
Fun.
We'll figure something out. But you mentioned Cryptoys. Let's dive into that a bit. I remember we were both living in North Carolina together, and we were kind of on this NBA Top Shot train, right? I was making Jennifer Top Shot YouTube videos, and you were making NBA Top Shot Steph Twitch videos. And there really weren't many content creators at the time, for NFTs, let alone NBA Top Shot. And both of us got a job shortly after that. I mean, Evaluate Market, I got hired on, which I still work for Evaluate Market. Cryptoys hired you on, you still work for Cryptoys. It's almost been a year for both of us. Tell us about what is Cryptoys?
Yeah. So first, just going back to I remember when you first got your job with Evaluate, I was like, dang, she got a job in the Web3 space. I was so I wanted a job in the Web3 space, and it just made things more possible, more real, when your own sibling gets a job in the space and you're like, okay, I've been doing similar things as them. I feel like it could happen for me too. And so it was only, I want to say 2 months later that I ended up getting a job in the Web3 space as well. But companies at the time, and I know for you as well, just reaching out, hey, can you help us launch this product? When you build an audience, this is kind of the good and the bad of social media. It's when you grow your audience on social media, people just start coming to you in flocks because they want you to represent their product, because they want you to grow their product and they need more eyeballs, and you've grown eyeballs, so they want to attach you to their product. And that could be a very scary thing because, who can you trust, right? Who are the people behind the team? Is this a rug pull? Am I promoting this? Is this, how do I know this team is legit? All those questions were running through my head when I was getting approached by all these projects about oh, can you work for us? When I got approached by Cryptoys, it was actually Will Weinrob, who is the CEO of Cryptoys. He approached me through his personal account and he was like, hey, this is what we're building and what we're working on. Do you want to jump on a Zoom? And I was like, oh, wow, someone that actually has their face out there and that wants to actually jump on a Zoom and pitch me, because most companies, they'll just kind of give their little spiel in the tweet. And it's okay, so I took the call. I just had a feeling I should take the call, even though I was like, yeah, everyone wants me to work for them, whatever. But as soon as I jumped on the call, I knew that there was something different. I mean, I could see Will's face, he's right there in the flesh. He kind of walked me through the big picture, the vision of Cryptoys, building the next generation's digital toy company, that you'll be able to actually own these characters and you'll be able to play them in mini games, and kind of the vision of building out a whole world and building on Flow. I love Flow blockchain. And so that was one of the big sellers for me was oh, wow, Cryptoys is building on Flow. That means they really want to focus on bringing new people, bringing the masses in. Because to me, Flow blockchain is for the people. It's for the masses. Ethereum is, sure, it's where all the money's at, right? It's where all the whales are. It's where all the flippers are. But Flow, it's an easy entry, similar to NBA Top Shot, easy entry for new people. And that's what I was always focused on, helping new people. So to me, Cryptoys was great. This is a great project that, we can help onboard new people into the space. And, they don't have to worry about gas fees and all that. And so, yeah, I remember when I jumped on the call with him, he's like, should we bring you on now? Should we wait till we launch? Good thing they didn't wait, because a year later, we haven't launched yet, right? Obviously, the original plan was to launch much sooner, but things got added on. We wanted things to be bigger before we launched. And so there's more exciting things, right? But I was like, no, you should hire me now. We should start growing the community and building awareness now. And because most projects don't do that. Most projects will wait 1 week before they launch. They'll launch their Twitter. They'll launch all their socials 1 week before mint. And they'll try to use the tactic of FOMO and quick, it's all happening now. And it's I'm personally, that's a huge turnoff for me when I see that happening. I'm like, you guys just launched your social medias a week before mint. I get it, things move fast, but if you have a big vision, a big roadmap, and you're building a whole team, it's going to take time. And so for Cryptoys, our motto, we're focused on quality. We've taken the time. At this point, we have 40 team members in different departments between the art team, AI, gaming, everything. We have so many different departments and so many different teams, and it's like, damn, we're really building something big. I mean, this is a platform versus just, a PFP project. So it's a lot different. But I mean, I was just so happy to get my foot in the space, with something that I can feel like, wow, this is like a career versus just being a server for most of my early 20s, just like, feels like it's like, for what am I doing? Like, what am I doing with my life? And this just was such a new and exciting industry. It felt really good to get my foot in the door in this space. And it started off by just doing stuff for free. Like I was just like Jen, making content for free for a project and to just help people. And it ended up turning into a bigger thing.
That's wild. You made some really good points there about NFT projects. Like most of these projects, like the typical NFT project, if it was Cryptoys, they would want their 5 million or 3 million or 4 million up front. That you would have already sold something, and then start building. So that's really interesting. I guess they have investors paying, Yep.
Yeah. So we definitely raised money. And yeah, I understand why projects usually, wait till last minute to do stuff because they don't have the money up front. Like their money is from minting. So they need to sell out. For us, we're venture backed. Like we've raised a bunch of money. We've raised millions of dollars so that we're able to scale the team, before we launch. So we're not relying on, oh my God, we need to sell this out at launch to like, we need the money, right? It's like, we don't necessarily need the money, for launch. It's like, we got money from investors that believe in us and our long-term vision. And now we're using it to scale the team and really build so that we can have more value by the time that we launch. And so, yeah, it is a different model. And yeah, obviously venture back, not everyone has the blessing to be able to be venture backed, especially if I researched all the co-founders, they have experience growing a startup from scratch and they have experience, raising money and building the team. So like, that was really something that I looked for. There's nothing wrong with like the more mom and pop shop type of projects. It's just, that's just a different level. It's a different playing field.
Yep. You guys you haven't obviously asked the community for any money yet, and you've given. Like I was there early. Luckily, I think I learned about it from Jennifer, but I forget exactly. But I was in there early enough to get one of the Cryptoys classics, and the cheapest ones are $400 right now.
Yeah, and so we kind of set the precedent of like, look, we appreciate everyone for sticking with us and being patient, because like, it's like everyone's kind of like, when are you guys launching? And it's like, look, we're focused on quality. It's taking time. Like, and we understand that people are kind of, like, well, what do we get out of this for being so early? So yeah, this was, I think, last year that we decided to drop the Cryptoys Classics as an airdrop to all just early people that were in our Discord before our first investor announcement, which was in late October. And so, yeah, we had kind of a sign up sheet like, hey, anyone who's early, sign up. We're going to airdrop this for free. And yeah, now like the floor, it's, $400 for one if you want to buy in. But it's like, yeah, like that was something that we just did for the community because we just appreciated people like sticking along for the journey. This is a long journey. And we wanted to kind of set that precedent of like, this is a long journey, but we appreciate everyone who's patient, because patience is a very valuable thing in this NFT space, I will say.
Wow. Is there anything plans to come of those? Like, are there people that listening that want to get into the Cryptoys? Should they just pay attention, or should they maybe snag one of the classics?
Yeah, I would definitely say, the classics are near and dear to everyone's heart, especially because that's technically our first collection we ever came out with. Granted, they were free, but still.
So were the CryptoPunks.
Right. So are the CryptoPunks. And that's kind of what inspired the classics, because they're 8-bit.
Oh, cool.
Or they're not 8-bit, they're pixelated.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I would definitely, if you want to be involved in like Cryptoys, I would definitely grab one. This is not financial advice. I wouldn't recommend it if you're trying to flip and you're trying to make a quick buck. Don't do it. Like I said, it's a patience game. So you got to be thinking long-term with things. So if you want a classic, just think long-term with it. I wouldn't, envision myself trying to flip it in a month or anything like that. But yeah, definitely let us know if you listen to the podcast and you grab one and you join our Discord. Would love to hear from anyone who does that.
I guess imagine you guys end up, you say you want to be like the futuristic toy company. What if you end up like Mattel or Hasbro? Imagine having their first prototypes that they gave out for free. That's kind of what it is.
Collector's item for sure.
Yeah, I was really happy to get one of those. I actually have a really cool one. It's like a panda. It's got a little earring, it's cool.
Nice.
I see yours on the wall behind you.
Yep. I got mine on the wall, a physical version of my NFT. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Sorry, Jennifer, you were going to say something.
Oh no, you're good. I mean, also it'll be the cover photo of this episode is Steph's like Cryptoy classic.
Every team member got a custom one, and I was like, I want my theme to be Galaxy. So I got the Galaxy Mohawk, the Galaxy sweatshirt. I wanted Galaxy. My whole theme for my life is Galaxy. So that's
nice.
That's my colorway.
And they hooked me up with a custom one too. I got my custom Crypto Classic.
One of the only non-team members who actually got a custom.
Dang, you're pulling for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We heard, about the vision. We heard you guys, building a big team and everything. Well, kind of what's like maybe just more of like a simple explanation on, well, what are they going to be? What is it exactly? Like, is this like a project that's going to be, coming out 10K? Like what's kind of like, can you tell us a little bit more about what exactly is this?
Yeah. So we're definitely not your average 10K PFP projects. We haven't publicly released our numbers, so I really can't say as far as volume, but I will say it's volume. Think about the reason why we decided to build on Flow is because we're not playing the scarcity game of like, there's only 10K of these, you need to buy in. Our motto is we want these to be accessible for everyone. We want everyone to be able to have a Cryptoy. So, with that, if you think of toys, you think of big toy companies, they have different lines of toys, and maybe within those lines, there's scarcity, right? And so, I think the way we're thinking about it, we have our own original IP, with the Cryptoys characters, but we also are in the works of partnering with some big major IP companies as well, because, as with every collectible toy company, you want there to be, your favorite toy from a different movie and stuff like that. So I really can't say like exactly, although honestly, something that you brought up, Michael, earlier, I was like, yo, that's an alpha leak right there, but I can't confirm or deny anything. But I will say,
play back the tape.
Yeah, what did I say? What can I say?
I will say we're building digital toys on the blockchain that you can also play with, and these are going to be animated. So they're not going to be your static 2D image. These are going to be 3D characters that are actually animated. They'll wave to you. They all have their own unique personalities. And so we're starting with our first 3 characters, a kitty, a corgi, and a panda. And so those are our first 3. But as we move on, we are going to have new breeds, and we're going to have, different types, right? Same with accessories and all that. And that's going to all be down the road. But just to start, I would just envision us as, 3D cute animated characters that you can play with.
Yeah, you know what? I used to be obsessed with Webkins, so that just made me think of Webkins, and I'm like,
I love Webkins.
Anyway, okay, we'll move on from Cryptoys here. We don't want to make the whole thing about Cryptoys. I also want to talk more about your journey and what NFTs you're into and everything. But y'all can check out Cryptoys.com or Cryptoys.io, right? To kind of see like a little bit about the site, just some more additional information. But all right, so moving on to NFTs as well. Besides working in the Web3 space, and you said you kind of moved on from Top Shot, and you made some trades with some of your moments. Are there other NFT projects that you're collecting? Like, do you actively buy into stuff? I know you don't really trade much; you mostly hold.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I still have like 300 Top Shot moments. So like, I didn't like leave Top Shot. I'm just chilling, with all my moments, right? I'm not actively playing the collecting game for Top Shot, but I do still have, 300 plus moments. And And then as far as like all the NFTs, kind of similar. I'm not necessarily actively collecting a ton, and I'm not really necessarily like selling a ton either. I just am chilling with like what I have. It is a scary time for me. And I do think a lot about new people entering and like saying, what should I buy? It's like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I bought in at good prices, so I feel good about those. And yeah, I feel bullish on certain NFT projects that have, 10, 100x. But would I buy in at these prices? I don't know. And it does kind of scare me, to give that type of advice. What I will say is the projects that I bought into like 8 months ago, I keep my eye on, okay, what have they been doing this whole time? And I will say BYO Pills is one of the projects that have impressed me the most because they have truly been building, and it's obvious that they've been building, versus some projects I look at it, I'm like, oh, I bought this during the same time and nothing happened with the project. They didn't go anywhere. Another project that I really like, Penelope's. I'm sure you've talked about these, Jen, but like, Carlini. Oh yeah, you had Carlini on the show.
Yeah, we had Carlini on. Yeah.
Penelope's is great. They're constantly building and doing a bunch of stuff. House Akiba, constantly building. What else do I like? I mean, I like the fungi that you point out just for aesthetic reasons. I don't know too much about what's going on behind the scenes. And then what else? Gutter Cat Gang. I'm trying to get involved in Gutter Cat Gang. So far, I just have 2 of the juices because that's all I can really afford for the buy-in price. But I think Gutter Cat Gang's been doing a great job with community. Obviously, Bored Ape Yacht Club, I no longer have any ties to them. I did with the dog, but as soon as the ApeCoin thing came out, I sold my dog because it was a local top and I knew it. And I was like, honestly, I had to think about it for a second and be like, if all of my NFTs went to 0, would I be okay? And I knew that I wouldn't. And so I sold my dog, which was my most valuable NFT at the time. I think I sold it for 8 Ethereum. And I'm
9,
like, okay.
You sold it for 9.
9 Ethereum. And I'm like, okay, now I feel good. If like, obviously I wouldn't feel good, but like now I feel at least like, I wouldn't have a heart attack if all my NFTs went to 0 because at least I sold like a really big NFT that I was holding. So,
yeah, I feel that 100%. Yep.
Yeah. Always got to ask yourself that, would I be okay? Yeah. And if the answer is no, then it's like, please sell something, for your own sake. Yeah. Because you really never know what's going to happen.
You did better than me with the dog. My dog, I was in my DGen days when I was selling everything. I sold it pre-reveal for like 1.25 ETH, and it ended up having laser eyes. When I look back at it.
That you always end up selling the pre-reveals that are
I know. Right. Every other one comes out. It's like, some ugly, right. Yeah.
The probability of it's always low. And then
I know.
Sold,
of course. And I never hit anything that's like crazy rare. And all of a sudden.
Same. I've never hit. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
One of these days we'll all hit something rare, but till then we'll see.
One of these days. I do. You are really good at that too. Like of kind of deciding, you know what, I'm actually going to take profits. It is so hard. Nobody talks about that. It's so hard to actually take profits if you're even making profits in this NFT space. And I mean, Steph, I remember, once again, when we were living in North Carolina, and we both had a cool cat that we had both bought in. I think I bought mine for 0.69. You bought yours for maybe like 0.6 or something, a little bit before me. And it just started running up and, going to, I don't know what it hit. It was like 6 ETH or something crazy. And you're like, Jen, let's agree to sell our cool cats together. And we were, and like I said, I'm more of a holder. And so I was a little hesitant, and I was like, I don't know, like, I don't want to sell mine. And so then I kind of promised that I would sell mine, like after, I don't know what I was waiting for. I was like, oh, after this happens, then I'll sell mine. So you ended up selling yours, alone, and you sold yours. And then I never ended up selling mine, and I still have it. And you were like, you were supposed to sell it. You're all like mad at me. And I just remember that.
Well, because at the time you had never taken really any profits for anything. And so, I was just pushing for you to take profits for yourself. But I did end up selling my cool cat, my only cool cat. And I sold it, and you kind of, I mean, depending on how wealthy or not you are, at least for me, I definitely did not have the luxury of like knowing that I could buy something back. I knew that as soon as I sold my cool cat, I would never be able to buy back in, because I'm like, there's no way I'm spending, this much money to buy back in. Like once I sell something, I'm done. And it is sad. When I sold my dog, it was like, that was my last tie to Bored Apes. And I'm bullish on Bored Apes, but I was like, I need to take profits and something has to go. And so you just kind of detach yourself, even though, I did have the mentality of, oh, I want to keep the dog forever. But then it starts getting to these prices and you're like, okay, wait a minute. Let me think about this in USDC. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, do I really want a picture? Like, and I know that's obviously an overclassification of it, but like, do I really want this one NFT versus like tens of thousands of dollars? Like, what can I do with that? And it's like, it does mess with your brain a little bit. Selling, a big item, because you probably won't be able to buy back in, especially if you're selling for profit and you need the money.
Yeah, I totally sympathize with that. It's interesting dynamic there. I try and separate that too. Like, my mutant's been calling me to sell it for a long time. It's at 27 ETH right now. Like, and I think about like, it's a lot of money.
Jeez, I know. Well, how much is 27 ETH? It's crazy when you think about it in dollars, right?
Yeah, I think it's close to 100 grand. It's like got to be like 90 grand. Let me see.
It's crazy. I think about prices all the time.
85 grand.
85 grand. Like, how crazy is that? When you
I
really
know.
think
And then I'm not selling it right. It's like,
right, exactly. And you're still
wild. Yeah.
Yep, I feel that.
It's wild.
But that just goes back to the thing we talk about, which is like, a lot of people value having these digital assets over in real life assets. Okay, so I also kind of wanted to talk to you about Web 2 versus Web 3. And, both of us were servers for, several years, quite a long time in our adult life as kind of like a career thing that we did. And, the cool thing about serving is you serve and then you just go home and you're done. And, you don't have to, sometimes you have nightmares about, forgetting to ring in people's orders, but besides that, you don't have to think about your job. In Web 3, it just feels like it's everything all the time. And, it's very much like you're very much on. And especially when you're working remotely, there's just a lot of, it's not really that, here's the set hours. And then, you kind of can clock out for the day. So I'm I know in we talk about this all the time in real life. And I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on the pod as well, just of like, kind of separating Web 3 with your real life and not like letting it take over your whole life.
Yeah, I think about like balance a lot. And I know everyone's always like, it's not ideal, you can't have balance, but it's like, fine. I'm fine with not having like perfect balance, but I do want to have some sort of like balance. I really do. And like, I want time to paint. I want time to work out. I want time to, be able to play the piano, like just do things that like are for me and just like in the physical world. I think about my life sometimes and I zoom out and I'm like, I'm literally staring at a screen. If you zoom out, what am I doing? Okay, sure, I'm doing all these things in the online world, but what am I really doing in the physical world? I'm staring at a screen for 10 hours a day. Like, it really is crazy. And that's not necessarily Web 3, right? Web 2 was social media. Like, yeah, it's Web 2 as well. Like, and it's like, it's just like devices and like, I don't know. I think of the online world versus the physical world. I do spend more time in the online world than I do in the physical world. I do more in the online world. My online identity is more popular than the physical world. It's like, yeah, I think about that. And I don't know, for me, I've been trying to work on doing things slower in the physical world. Like, the other day I literally was like, I'm going to play the piano for 2 hours. And, some people would be like, 2 hours, you could have spent your time researching NFTs. You could have flipped, you could have made money. But I'm like, no, I want to slow down some things in my life to feel like I have some sense of like time for myself. And that like, the time's not moving so fast. Like in the online world, it feels like things are moving so fast. And it's like, I don't always like that feeling. I like things sometimes to be slow. I'm working on this. Shout out to Swicky. I think you had her on the podcast, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Top Shot Swicky. She gave me this paint by numbers that's super complicated. And I already know like what I've done with it so far is spent 10 hours on it. Barely looks like I've touched it. Like it's like that big of a thing. But like something like that, it's like, you know, just spending my time doing things like that. It's definitely like healing and therapeutic. And I would recommend it for more people. I also started writing in a journal as well. Also, Swicky got me a gratitude journal, and I've been writing in that. And it helps you appreciate the little things. And it also helps you appreciate like the physical world a little bit more, which sometimes can get lost in the sauce with the fast-paced life of online.
Absolutely.
Yeah, living life in the fast lane, pedal to the metal. Because I had to sing. That it was so when you said like that, there was a little ding in my brain when you're like, you know, my online persona, my online identity is more popular than my real life identity. I'm like, whoa, that's so weird to think about because yeah, I mean, obviously that's true for a lot of people, right? It's like, you know, you have all these followers, you know, tens of thousands of followers on social media and stuff. And it's just like so crazy to think about how it's like, you're kind of a different person online, you know, you're not, you get to kind of pick and choose like what you show and like, you know, you're not, it's not the real you. But people kind of think that it is. And even if you're like, you know, behind an NFT, then people really don't know what you look like. And it's just like, it's just like totally different world, which is so interesting.
Yeah. And that's why I think there was this study that showed like kids nowadays value their online presence way more than their like physical world, like reputation. Cause the online, you can reach way more people. And especially with like avatars and all this stuff, you can control what you look like and dramatically control what you look like. And, you know, you can really control how you come off to people online. And like, it is an interesting thing of like identity and like, you know, your physical world identity versus your online world identity. It's interesting to think about for sure.
And you can kind of, but also the beauty of it to me is like, you can also kind of be whoever you want. And we kind of, you know, we moved around a lot, like in our childhood. And I didn't really like starting fresh back then because I kind of had like social anxiety and it was like, oh my God, and I got to like make new friends. I don't know anybody. But then, you know, as we got older, like I kind of felt more like I loved the idea of starting fresh and, you know, and I do feel like online, it's kind of like, you know, you get this chance to like be a new person, which I think, yeah, a lot of people like, especially the younger generation, because they kind of grew up with that a lot more. And, you know, they're growing up with social media and it's just like a totally different thing. I mean, we're pretty young, but we didn't exactly grow up with social media like when we were like 5, you know? So yeah, it's just like totally different nowadays. But coming back to NFTs here, bouncing back, what are like some things that, you know, when you're looking, because you said you like to buy and hold things, what are a couple of things that you look for in a project when you're looking to buy in?
Yeah, definitely the team. I think is my number one. I always look at, well, who's behind the project? Even if they're anonymous, fine. But who is behind the project? You know, let's just say, you know, you can't see their face, fine. But what's their online reputation, you know, for their avatar or whatever it is. And I always look at, who's working behind this project? I'm not really, since I understand social media, I never get persuaded by the influencers pumping, you know, certain projects. Like, I know that by the back of my hand that like, that means that it's the top. Like if some popular influencer is pumping a project, that's the time to sell. That is not the time to buy. Unfortunately, everyone thinks the inverse. And that's when they buy is when their favorite influencer is talking about a project. But yeah, for me, I'm just focused on, okay, you know, who's behind the team? What have they done in the past? You know, because it's like, sure, you know, okay, all right, you built up a decent reputation. Well, what have you done? Like, how do I know that you're going to deliver on these promises? And really, it's a huge gamble and it's a huge risk because, you know, especially if the team behind, you know, a project does not have history, you know, in the Web3 space, even in the Web2 space, like you don't know their history at all, that's a little bit like scary to me. And it's like, okay, it's fine, but I'm taking a chance. And, you know, this is kind of a high risk bet, which honestly, pretty much all the projects that I've bought into have been high risk in my opinion, because I really don't know like too much of what goes on behind the scenes with a lot of these projects. Sure. Okay. The team is doxxed. What else can I find out about the team? Like, it's kind of hard to find information a lot of the times about a lot of these projects, especially new ones. So for me, I actually, when I buy into projects, oftentimes buy into old projects that have been building, and maybe the price is higher now, but I'd much rather buy into a project that's been building for 8 months, that the price, you know, I'm buying in a little more expensive, versus taking a gamble at cheap, you know, mints, hoping that this project is going to continue building, or hoping I hit a rare or something like that. I'm typically more of like, let me hedge my bets on a team that has actually been building. So I really don't buy into new projects. Like, I really don't, unless it's like my friend's project or something. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know them. So yeah.
Yeah. I think me buying a Smiles verse was a local top, because literally the floor dropped after that.
Oh my God.
It came back up a little tiny bit. Let me look now where you
That's always how it happens. That's how it happens. You know,
I know. I felt bad. I actually saw that and I felt bad. It's back to 0.8 now. Where did you buy? You were in like the mid 0.8s. Yeah. It's going to be good. It's going to be multiple ETH. It will be eventually. There's going to be something that happens.
Don't be promising that.
Not financial advice. I have so much.
Jen was the influencer that bought at the top.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone should have sold that.
Right,
a perfect
right.
example.
They're like wallet watching me, like, oh, Jen buys. That's
there it is.
Signal
Time to
folks.
sell. Yeah.
I did that with Mooncats. That are like this historical NFT, and it was like, wow, Mooncats have been around since Punk's times. And I was like, oh, let me buy a Mooncat. These are historical. I bought it for 1 ETH. This was like 6 months ago, mind you. I look at the floor the other day and it was 0.3, and I'm like, well, that was nice, you know. Bought a historical NFT that just, yeah. But you know, I'm keeping it regardless.
Yeah. What are some of your other favorite ones? I know you have all 4 meta keys, right? Jennifer's mentioned that.
Yes, actually. How can I have left them out when I was naming my projects? Yeah, MetaKey. I'm a key master, which I think there's barely any key masters, but like a key master means you have every single key. And they've released, I believe, 4 so far. And they're also another team that they take their time with building stuff, and they're not super, it's all about the hype. Like, if anything, the hype stuff really always turns me off. MetaKey is super low key. They're just building. And, you know, if you look back at, and I did a lot of research on DCL blogger, Maddie, who is the founder of MetaKey. And he has all these connections. He was super early back in the day. And so, you know, he really got his start back in like 2017. He was really involved in Decentraland, you know, the virtual world, and buying and trading land and all that. And he has a lot of connections in the space of like the OGs. And so to me, that was like a really good sign, especially seeing that he's been in the space for how many years and seeing what he's done to contribute to the space. Oftentimes it does scare me when people seem like they're brand new into the space and all of a sudden they're launching a project. It's like, what I love about, you know, MetaKey is, you know, the founder behind it. He's been in the space for years and years, and he's been adding value for years and years. And so, like I said, I always look at the team, and that's usually a good indicator. But like I said, I'm not a trader. So, you know, I'm the type that I just buy and hold it. And I'm just up through the ups and downs. I'll just hold on to something because I believe in it.
Did you end up with the Clone X from having the edition 2?
Yeah, I did. And I sold it. I sold the vial. I sold the vial because I wanted to take profits, and I was like, yo, this is a big ticket item. I usually, when I sell something, I'll just sell like the biggest thing instead of selling a million like middle things or little. I'm just like, I'm just going to sell one thing. It's going to be the biggest, and boom, take my profit. So I sold my my Clone X vial before it revealed.
Nice. Yeah, I'm actually a key master as well, believe it or not.
Let's go.
Yeah. Do you know how many there are?
I don't. Last time I checked, there was like 80. I don't know.
Okay.
If updated.
Wow. That's okay. That's pretty low.
Not much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I feel special for it. I made some trades to get into that position. Like, honestly, never had much money to put into NFTs, like mostly been kind of using my leverage and just trading my way kind of up and consolidating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like that. I know a lot of people are in that position of like, they don't have a lot of money to put in, but it's like, they just need a couple NFTs, you know, pump a little bit, be able to trade or sell it and kind of work their way up.
Yeah. And trading used to be a lot. Now it's a little sus, like with these trading sites, and then people are sending you these phishing links, and then that's how you get scammed and stuff. But it used to be a lot easier to kind of trust people with trades. I mean, that's how I got my doodle, you know, trading with Poopy Cat. And it's like, you know, I didn't even have 1 ETH at the time to be able to buy one. Like, I remember I had like 0.8 or something. I was waiting for it to go down, which it never did. And thankfully I traded, you know, right at that time. But it's like, yeah, I have a question. So, you know, you're saying, you know, you didn't start with much, you know, money, didn't have much money to put into this, but somehow you ended up with all these, you know, valuable assets that, you know, some of them you ended up selling, some of them you still have. What advice would you give to people that, you know, maybe they don't have much money coming into this, but it's like, you know, they want to be a part of this. They want to be able to buy NFTs and, you know, not just one NFT. They want to have multiple. And it's like, you know, they want to have a collection. What advice would you give to people that don't have much money, but want to start collecting NFTs?
I would definitely say, and this is actually how I got my start that I didn't even mention, is get your foot in the door volunteering for an NFT project. I was actually a volunteer moderator in Top Shot's Discord before they got rid of the volunteer position, and they just, you know, it's now only paid roles are kind of helping with the Discord. But yeah, I got my foot in the door by working for free. And then, you know, from there, and it was like, as a reward for being a moderator, Top Shot would give me some packs, you know? And so it was like, and so, you know, a lot of projects need help. As an example, moderator in a Discord, that's a great volunteer position to start off with. You know, the community manager that I hired for Cryptoys, he started off as a moderator in our Discord. And it's like, you know, just getting your foot in the door. And you know, if it's just a couple hours a week, whatever, try to negotiate for some NFTs or some pay and work your way up from there. But like, yeah, you have to get your foot in the door in some way. And I would definitely highly recommend like working with a project because yeah, you can literally leverage, hey, you know, I'll work for you for, you know, I'll do this for you if you give me some of, you know, your NFTs as payment or, you know, you get paid and then you use that money and put it towards NFTs.
Right. And even, you know, getting a job in Web3, like, you know, kind of using that same strategy, right? Or do you have a different strategy for, okay, maybe someone's trying to work in the Web3 space?
Yeah. If you're trying to work in the Web3 space, there's so much opportunity. I think the problem is like, for example, like me, there's a lot of things that our company is hiring for like 30 different positions, but it's hard to find the people that are qualified or find the people that like want the job. You know, it's like, how do we know? So I would say start putting yourself out there and you know, let's just say if you have social media, you start letting people know, hey, this is my skill set. Who can hire me for this? Like, this is what I'm good at. You know, what open positions are there? But like, we won't know what you're good at unless you say, you know, start talking to friends in the space, tell them what your skills are and how you can help. And like I said, if you don't have any skills applicable to projects yet, then get your foot in the door with a volunteer position and work your way up from there.
I love that. I love that advice. And I was literally just saying like that exact thing on someone else's podcast. I usually go on other people's podcasts, you know, a couple times a week. I wonder if anyone ever listens to those, but anyway, Michael, do you have any closing questions for Steph here?
Not necessarily questions, but you really provided a lot of really good insight. I mean, that's great advice for lots of people. Like if you want to get in the space, absolutely join a community, become part of it and volunteer to be a mod. You never know where that'll go. Another project, somebody might see you and ask you to come on, or you might get a larger position in that project. Like that's really good advice. And I appreciated hearing all the things you had to say tonight. And, you know, I really respect Cryptoys, how them and you guys are building. like, and not just coming out and trying to get a bunch of money and then see what happens. That's the opposite of what most projects do. I really am excited to see how that plays out. It was a pleasure to have you on, Steph. We've met a couple times now. We got to talk in Miami a little bit, so it's been a real pleasure. You know, I was trying to get you on for all this time, and Jennifer's like, no, I don't want her head to get any bigger than it already is. She would say. So I was like, all right, I don't know. And but this was really fun.
Yeah, she was waiting for the right time to bring me on. And in fairness, I was like, you know, get some guests on. I want to see how it goes first. I don't want to be the first guest. Like, you know, I want to see how it goes. But I appreciate,
you know what
the
truth is, I was trying to build up an audience for you, you know?
And you've grown the podcast tremendously since the first guest. I would like to say, you know, I know that a lot of new people are watching this that are like, you know, maybe they haven't even bought their first NFT and they're like, I'm just learning. You know, my friend actually, she literally was like, I just want to learn. And she started watching all of your podcasts from the start. And so I know there's a lot of people
listening, not watching. This is not video. People are like, what? We can watch this?
Yeah, sorry, listening. I know a lot of people are like that. And I think what y'all are doing for the space is super helpful, because even just having conversations like this, you know, you start hearing the lingo, you start hearing, you know, the different projects. And it's like, this is the kind of stuff, it's a great start to get your foot in the door. And then, like Michael was saying, like the next step, if you really want to be serious, is like, get involved with a project. Also, because you can learn, you know, what actually goes on behind the scenes. I have learned so much, you know, working with Cryptoys for a year. I've learned so much. And it's like, the stuff that you're learning is going to be super valuable, especially let's say that you want to launch your own project one day. Don't you want to learn all the mistakes or all the successes from someone else first and have that blueprint and then do your own thing? I just think it's so valuable to just be working with a company or a project in the space, and like, yeah, get serious about that, because like this space isn't going to go anywhere and it's just getting bigger. The opportunities are so abundant right now, and that might not always be the case. So yeah, you know, get in early like that. And this podcast is the perfect starting point for everyone. Like, and your family members, you're trying to onboard family members, get them to listen to this podcast, because I mean, it's gold, honestly.
Shout out to our mom. Maybe she'll listen to this episode. Who else should we shout out, Steph?
Shout out to everyone who's been listening to every single episode so far.
Wow.
Like, imagine those people who've listened every single episode, never missed an episode. Shout out to those people. The loyal supporters. Love them.
How about the people that come in and binge listen after they find us and they binge listen from early on? I might go back and listen to a couple of those early ones. I wonder if they're like cringe or if they're classics.
That's the rule. You can't go back and watch your old stuff.
No, is that the rule? Okay.
I mean, I start cringing at all my old stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I want to delete everything.
Yeah, no, I have to, you know what, when you said, Michael, the person, you know, maybe there's people that binge, I have to shout out Kaido253 on Twitter. They literally have been binge listening to every single episode. And they said they've been taking notes. And they were like, if you want them, I was like, oh my God, I freaking love the notes. And they're like, oh, at a minimum, maybe you can use them for timestamps or whatever. But they've been taking notes and everything. And I'm just like, dang, that's so freaking cool. But I also wanted to say, and shout out to, I wonder if Amy is listening. I know our friend, who's not even in NFT, she started listening and binge listened as well. But I wanted to say that I think that, you know, one of the reasons I really wanted to do a podcast was because I learned about cryptocurrency through a podcast. And it was all thanks to you, of course, Steph, because, you know, basically when my sister dropped out of college, you know, I was still going to college. And, you know, she decided to kind of take matters into her own hands and learn, you know, things on her own and figure out what she wanted to learn herself. And we would always, like, when we were in the car together, she would always be playing a podcast. And she would be playing like Ty Lopez's like cryptocurrency podcast. And I would be like, oh, like, what, can we listen to some music? And then eventually, you know, it kind of wore me down and I started liking it. And I was like, oh, okay, I actually like this. And then I got really into listening to, you know, crypto podcast and just learning about crypto in general. And so, the fact that a podcast got me into cryptocurrency, and I wasn't even on Twitter, I wasn't doing anything besides listening to a podcast. And that's how I know there's people that are doing the same thing with NFTs. They're just listening to our podcast, and that's okay too. And so I feel like this is my way of kind of giving back. And so thanks, Steph, for forcing me to listen to those crypto podcasts back in the day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, seriously, shout out to everyone listening to these. That this is definitely the first step, is just learning and absorbing everything, and that's 100% the move I would make if I was just getting into the space right now. I would just take the next month at least before I bought anything, just to be learning, absorbing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because once you start buying things, then it's like, that's a whole nother ball game. So learning is like the best thing ever. Love it.
Unless you're able to buy a Gary V2 V Friends, you should snag that.
I bought all the books, so I got one.
Yeah, you got one. Nice. You did. Cool.
Yep.
Wait, you got one? You got the V2? Because I checked and I did not get any.
Oh, wait, what?
The
book
know
is
that
a
was
separate thing? Oh,
yeah.
I'm thinking of the wrong thing. We'll have to talk about this.
Yeah, well, I'll have you check to see if you're eligible. If you have a book games, you have a chance at getting the V2. So then we can see if you're eligible after this.
Yeah.
But anyway, before I say goodbyes, let me one more time talk about the 50th episode. Like I said, this is the 49th episode. So happy and blessed to have, Steph on, person I look up to the most in this space. We are celebrating all that we've done, this whole podcast on our 50th episode on Monday, April 18th at 7 p.m. PST. If you're not able to make it to the live, that's fine. You'll enjoy listening to it back. It's going to be a fun show. But if you are able to attend, we'd love to have you attend our live Twitter Spaces show. Check us out on Twitter. Either my Twitter, Jennifer_Sutto, to get more information, or NFT Catcher Pod. But basically, we're going to be breaking this hour-and-a-half episode down into 3 segments. First half hour, we're going to have 8 special guests. We're going to bring back 8 of our guests and bring them back for the first half hour to celebrate with us. Second half hour, we're doing a Q&A section where you can come up and ask a question. Don't be shy. You can do it. You can do it. I know some people get a little shy about that, but we're excited to hear from our listeners. And final segment will be a little shill segment. I don't like to call it shilling because that kind of has a bad connotation to it, but basically just an opportunity for you to tell us about what you're working on, for a quick 1 to 2 minutes, or maybe you just want to talk about your favorite project. And so that'll be that section as well. And we might invite some of our friends during that last segment as well. But yes, thank you all so much for listening to this episode, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_Sutto and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.